Karoline Leavitt had always been a woman who believed in the power of family. She'd grown up in a tight-knit community in New Hampshire, where everyone knew everyone else's business. But it was this very closeness that shaped her understanding of what truly mattered in life: love, kindness, and the deep connections formed through shared experiences. She'd carried this belief into her adult life, growing a family of her own with her husband, Daniel, and their 2 young children. The day Karoline received the message from the midwife was one she had been anticipating for months. She was pregnant with her 3rd child, and though it had been a tough pregnancy, she had remained hopeful and positive. She'd done everything she could to make sure her body was ready to bring another little one into the world. She'd taken every prenatal class, read every book, and even attended yoga sessions for expecting mothers. Despite her efforts, there had been a constant undercurrent of anxiety, as her previous 2 pregnancies had been complicated, filled with unexpected twists and turns. It was a Thursday morning when the phone rang. Karoline had just finished preparing breakfast for her family and was getting the kids ready for school. She glanced at the screen and saw the name Heather McKenzie, the midwife she'd been working with for the last few months. Heather had been a calming presence throughout her pregnancy, always reassuring Karoline that everything would be fine. But on that morning, Karoline's heart skipped a beat. She excused herself from the kitchen and answered the call, her fingers trembling slightly. "Karoline?" Heather's voice was warm, but also carried a sense of urgency that Karoline hadn't heard before. "Yes, Heather, what's wrong?" Karoline asked, her mind racing with possibilities. "It's nothing serious," Heather replied quickly, "but I've just gotten the results from your last ultrasound, and I think you'll want to know. The baby's heartbeat is stronger than ever. Everything looks perfect, Karoline. Your little one is healthy, and it's time to start preparing for the birth." For a moment, Karoline was silent. A wave of relief washed over her, followed by a rush of emotions. After everything, the sleepless nights, the constant worry, the endless appointments, the news she had been waiting for was finally here. Her baby was going to be okay. Then, Heather added, "I also wanted to say, Karoline, this is going to be a very special birth. We've noticed something in the scan. The baby has a slight anomaly, but it's nothing that should affect them long term. You may not even notice it once they're born. But I thought you should know, just in case." Karoline felt a sharp pang of anxiety, but Heather quickly reassured her, telling her not to worry. The midwife explained that the anomaly was something minor, something the medical team had seen before and could easily work with. After the call ended, Karoline stood by the kitchen counter, a mixture of joy and fear flooding her chest. She wiped away a tear that had slipped down her cheek, trying to focus on the positive. Her baby was going to be okay. A few hours later, Daniel came home for lunch. Karoline couldn't wait to share the good news. As she sat down with him at the kitchen table, she looked into his eyes, her own welling up with tears. "Dan, it's all going to be okay," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "The baby's heart is strong. We're going to bring our 3rd little one into this world, and everything's going to be fine." Daniel's face lit up with a smile, but it was clear that he, too, was holding back tears. They both knew how much this baby meant to them, how hard they had fought for the chance to expand their family. The days leading up to the birth were filled with excitement and nervous anticipation. Karoline's reaction to the message from Heather had touched everyone who knew her. Her strength and vulnerability, combined with her deep love for her growing family, inspired all who saw her. Finally, the day arrived. Karoline's labor was intense but smooth, and surrounded by her family and the supportive midwife team, she brought her baby into the world, a healthy, strong little girl who had no signs of the anomaly they had worried about. She was perfect in every way. As Karoline held her daughter for the first time, she couldn't help but think back to the message from Heather. It had been a reminder that life, though full of uncertainty, always had the potential for incredible joy. In that moment, Karoline felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude, her heart full of love for the child in her arms and for the family she had worked so hard to build. Her journey, the fear, the worry, the unknowns had all led to this one beautiful moment. And as she looked around at her loved ones, she realized that it wasn't just the baby that had brought tears to their eyes. It was the reminder that sometimes, even in the hardest moments, everything can turn out better than we could have imagined. As the days passed, Karoline looked down at her newborn daughter, her eyes filled with tears, but her heart was brimming with happiness. She thought back to the hardships she had endured, the sleepless nights, the anxious moments when she didn't know what the future would hold, and now, holding her healthy baby in her arms, she felt all of it had been worth it. Her little girl was a living proof of the strength of faith and love. One afternoon, as the family gathered in the garden, Daniel took Karoline's hand and whispered, "You did it. We made it through everything." His words, filled with gratitude and pride, made Karoline feel the deep bond between them. Together, they had faced every challenge, dreamt of a complete family, and now it had come true. But what touched Karoline most wasn't just the joy of becoming a mother again. It was remembering the reactions of everyone when they heard the news about the message from the midwife. It wasn't just her family's joy, it was a reminder to everyone about the preciousness of those quiet, happy moments we so often take for granted. Karoline looked down at her tiny daughter and smiled, saying softly, "I love you so much, and I will always remember that every moment with you is the greatest gift of my life." In that moment, all the worries and struggles seemed to fade away. Karoline knew life would continue to bring its surprises and challenges, but she also knew that love, perseverance, and hope were the forces that would carry her through. And in that love, her family was the safest place, a place where she always found peace and happiness.